ones that have a multidisciplinary approach. You can't just run a service with a clinician. You need computer engineers, you need other members of the multidisciplinary team, you need programmers. Yes, there's a lot of publications that AI can simulate empathy, but there's still a few things that we human beings hold dear to us. Altruism, the gut feeling. Particular case the other day where I had to hug a patient's father because the father was really, really scared about a child.
Welcome to today's podcast on MedSynapse, where we bring you insightful conversation with leading experts in medical field. I'm your host, Dr. Smarika Bhatt, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have prominent guest with us, Dr. Ram. He is a pioneer consulting pediatric radiologist at Hull University, teaching hospitals and healthcare clinical lead for Fujifilm Healthcare UK. As a distinguished fellow of the Royal College of Radiologists and visionary entrepreneur behind Trust.ai and clinical strategies, Dr. Senasi has transformed pediatric radiology services and championed global healthcare initiative through his leadership in World Federation of Pediatric Imaging and World Federation Emergency Radiology. Welcome, Dr. Ram, to the podcast. We're excited to have you.
Hi, Smarika. Thank you. And please call me Ram. Everyone calls me Ram. That's my hashtag, call me Ram. So for now, you just call me Ram and
so we are very excited to have you and start a conversation with you. To start our first conversation and our interview, we'll start with you have been the forefront of healthcare innovation, and AI has already revolutionized healthcare. But what do you think that quantum computing could take things even further? And how do you see it tackling challenges like complex molecular stimulation and real-time big data analysis that AI struggles with?
Okay. Let's talk about data first to start with. 90% of the data we have right now was accumulated in the last 2 years, and that is going to increase exponentially. That is going to be the amount of data that comes to us to analyze, interpret, and make critical decisions for patients. What we see today is very different from what we saw 20 years ago, 50 years ago. Now, everyone is talking about AI, and AI has already shaped radiology and healthcare tremendously in a variety of things, in workflow, in workforce management, and also in helping treat patients and provide them with better care. But let's go back 100 years, maybe 150 years. We started off with fire and candles. Then we created a light bulb. We did not create the light bulb by making a better fire. We had to change the way we thought about how light is produced, and we came up with a light bulb. That is the juncture we are with right now between computing and quantum computing. Although there is the use of the word computing, these are two totally different types of technology. The physics is completely different. AI currently sits on computing using bit, zeros and ones. That's how we've always thought in the last 50 years or so or more. What quantum computing does is it provides a better platform for AI to function because it uses qubits. It increases the processing power. So while current technology can limit the role of AI, quantum computing will open up AI and healthcare and what we do to new possibilities, things that we can't even think of right now. And with that, I'll ask you, Smarika, 200 years ago, has anyone thought about what a data processor is or a computer programmer? 100 years from now, there will be jobs related to quantum computing and AI that you and I can't even fathom right now. So that is where we are. AI is currently using regular computing using bit. When we see AI starting to use qubits and quantum computing as its platform, we're going to see an exponential rise. And with the way data is being processed right now, it couldn't come at a better time for us.
Okay, so as you have perfectly summarized the data points, so what I find fascinating is how you have integrated traditional concepts like the Sigmoid Curve, portfolio careers, and leadership by trust have stood the test of time. So how do you think they align with the rapid changes of AI and quantum computing and bring it to the healthcare world? Are they more relevant now than ever?
Absolutely. So I'm not going to take any claim for the use of the word sigmoid curve or shamrock organization. These were all actually coined by Charles Handy. He was a very famous British philosopher and a management thinker. And he talked about having a human-centered approach to how we solve complex problems, especially in the world of AI, and how it's important to be adaptable. And actually go back over 100 years, it was Charles Darwin that said, actually, the species that adapts better is the one that's going to survive. And so we have to continuously adapt. And so when we talk about a sigmoid curve, we see this, what we call this knowledge curve that we have to be on. The aim is to be ahead of this sigmoid curve. And so to do that, we need to start reading, we need to start working, we need to start engaging and understanding quantum computing and where it fits into this new world of AI. And when it comes to a human-centered approach, the best way for this is for us to work in multidisciplinary teams. For too long, we've been working in silos, but we see organizations that succeed are ones that have a multidisciplinary approach. You can't just run a service with a clinician. You need computer engineers, you need other members of the multidisciplinary team, you need programmers to create a solution that is holistic. So while technology removes the mundane of what we do, that gives us more time for human interaction to really bring in empathy, creativity, and strategic decision-making on how we use these technologies, right, AI and quantum computing, to better healthcare. So the three key things are, we got to stay ahead of the curve, which is what Charles Handy talked about, the sigmoid curve. We need to start thinking dynamically with multidisciplinary teams. We cannot work in silos anymore. We need to see more conferences, not just with doctors, but with scientists, with engineers, with philosophers. We need to be thinking about this in a holistic way. And finally, the role of technology is to remove the mundane. That means it should allow more time for humans to engage in a more meaningful way. And that's what they call as work as a calling. What do we want to achieve as a species?
Okay, Dr. Ram, let's talk about something really crucial, like keeping the human element in healthcare with all the buzz around AI and quantum computing. How do we make sure human values like empathy and purpose-driven solutions stay at the heart of innovation? How can we ensure that technology truly serves both the patient and the clinicians?
So it's a very interesting question. How do we not get carried away with technology taking over? And I think the best way is we need to be part of the conversation. I see too many doctors automatically dispel AI as a solution. The problem with that is they remove themselves from the conversation. We are at this critical juncture again with the world of AI and computing, where we have a role to play in the direction it takes and what we want it to do for us, not what we do for it. And so even if you are a proponent or an opponent, if you're an opponent to AI, you need to bring the conversation to the table. Why don't you like it? What are the solutions we can do? But if you're not part of the conversation, that ship is already sailing. And if you're not on that ship, you do not have a space on the table. Coming back to key things like empathy. Yes, there's a lot of publications that AI can simulate empathy, but there's still a few things that we human beings hold dear to us. Altruism, the gut feeling. I mean, I had a particular case the other day where I had to hug a patient's father because the father was really, really scared about a child. Particular case the other day where I had to hug a patient's father because the father was really, really scared about a child. We may see human beings use more AI in the future, but we're still at the center of it. Now, we talk about AI taking over a job. At this point, I'm not concerned. And the reason is population collapse. We are reaching a stage of population collapse. China, with its one-child policy, is now starting to see the effects. So we're going to reach by about 2060, human population is going to start to decline. The second thing, of course, is the rising aging population. Human beings are living longer, but they may not be able to contribute with that prolonged life. So we're going to have a smaller working population and a larger aging population. Throw in climate change, throw in human migration. We're going to need AI more than ever because there's just not enough people to handle the workload, handle the data, and handle the care. So my role as a radiologist will evolve. but it has always evolved as a radiologist. What a radiologist did 50 years ago is very different to what I do now. So I might be able to see more, see better, and do better. So there is still a role for human beings. It's just that there's not going to be enough of us around in 50 years. So we're going to need AI. There's no jobs to take because not many of us will be around.
Drawing from your experience as a clinical strategist and entrepreneur, as new technology emerges, what role do clinical strategists and other key players have in making sure innovations and practical, easy to adopt, or how can you build stronger connection between tech and develop frontline healthcare providers?
That's an excellent question. And I always like to use the analogy of a famous car manufacturer. Let's pick Mercedes-Benz, for example. The engineers at Mercedes-Benz build fantastic cars. Same like the engineers at BMW and Toyota. Tata from India, they build great cars. But it's not those engineers selling those cars. It is a salesperson. It's a spokesperson. In Mercedes-Benz, the name that some people think about is Lewis Hamilton, F1 champion. So the role of clinical strategist is an evolving role now. It's a new role. Now, while healthcare and medtech companies have clinical advisors, they look inward into the company in terms of product development. They are experts in that particular field. That does not necessarily make them communicators or connectors or people with a commercial mind, the sort of 3 Cs. That's where clinical strategist comes in. We are the interpreters of the technology. We look at the technology, but we also have a wide angle view on the landscape in healthcare. Alongside that is our network. I mean, I'm quite proud I have amassed a fantastic network of people across the board in a variety of fields that I can reach out to. Now, the role of the clinical strategist is to look at the technology, interpret it, see how it fits into the landscape. And then we act as pathfinders for this medtech company, saying, this is what your technology does. This is how it can be used for the betterment of humanity and in healthcare. These are the things you need to consider. And I will guide you into who you need to speak to. Do you need to raise funds? Do you need to speak to this hospital? We create that strategy. And so we are a growing a class of clinicians. They call ourselves clinical strategists. And you do not need to be a clinician to be a clinical strategist. Anyone with a healthcare background in medtech can be. For example, I've got a fantastic colleague called Chris McKee in the world of AI. He is also a clinical strategist.
Okay. So final question, Dr. Ram, and it's a big one as the future of healthcare careers. It's very important for us to know the answer of it. As you wear multiple hats, AI and quantum computing are changing healthcare jobs in a big way. So what skills do you think will be crucial in the future, and how can healthcare professionals stay ahead through lifelong learnings or collaboration across multiple disciplines?
Okay, so I'm going to break this down to sort of 2 key things. The first part is going to be what us as clinicians and doctors and healthcare professionals. Now, when I say clinicians, I also include nurses and in my world, radiologists. Anyone involved. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So it's not just us clinicians, because I think the world is changing. The first part is a curiosity and a commitment to learning. Without curiosity, we're going to stop having conversations. We need to be curious to problems, we need to be curious to solutions, and we need to be able to challenge those solutions and problems. We can't just accept the status quo. So with curiosity, we have to be able to challenge the status quo. Just because this is what we've done for the last 50 years doesn't mean this is the way we should always do it. That sort of thinking takes us to being adaptable, which is the next key skill set. We have to be adaptable to the growing world. If we continuously say no, 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 we're not going to grow. We're not going to be curious. So I would urge doctors out there, have a curious mindset. Be able to challenge the status quo and use that to be able to collaborate and to be adaptable to the changing environment. Look at history. We've always adapted. What we're doing now, totally different from 50 years ago. It will be totally different. My role as a radiologist will evolve. Roles of cardiologists will evolve. And the other part is being part of the conversation or being in a leadership role. Talk to as many people as you can. I always like to use the analogy of a small glass and a big basket, and you're throwing a ping pong ball. The chances of getting into the basket, the red basket, is much better than the small glass. And the reason is the wider your network, the better your visibility, the better your conversations, the more people you speak to. So that is from the clinicians. Commitment to lifelong learning, to curiosity, challenging the status quo, being adaptable, and talking and communicating, talk to as many people as possible, and embracing that leadership role. For AI companies, I think they need to start having, or any medtech companies, you got to have a human-centered approach. I mean, I spoke to someone from a medtech company the other day, and he said, fantastic engineers, fantastic solutions, but they don't know how to sell. And so we need to have a human-centered approach in how we look at this technology and how we can have a human-centered approach in getting technology to the consumers. MedTech companies also have to invest in multidisciplinary teams. You need to have a variety of people and understand the role of a clinical advisor and a clinical strategist are two different things. And you might need somebody for one particular role that somebody else can't do. The other part, of course, is prioritizing transparency and ethics. We need to share our data. We need to be ethical, and we need to be transparent for what we're trying to achieve. So I think those are probably the two things. One is for doctors and what we need to do, but at the same time for medtech companies.
Okay, it was absolutely a perfect answer and very well put together answer. And thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. And thank you to our viewers for tuning in. And remember, if you're a healthcare professional who is eager to delve deeper into medical topics or have questions, do not hesitate to join us on MedSynapse platform. MedSynapse platform is not just a resource, it's a dynamic space where you can connect with your medical peers, participate in meaningful discussions, and contribute to the ongoing healthcare evolution. So until next time, stay healthy and take care.